session 3 of the book of Numbers. And we continue with number 7. And read at your own time the whole chapters, number 7, because it's so beautiful from verse 1 to verse 89. How the whole camp, through their tribal leaders, brought beautiful and costly gifts and sacrifices to the tabernacle. And as you read through everything they brought, you're reminded that these were slaves. Remember, they left Egypt, but they didn't leave empty-handed. They were quite rich when they came out of Egypt, after they've been slaves for such a long time. Because you read how they brought not only tons and tons of animals to sacrifice, but thousands of shekels of silver and hundreds of shekels of gold. What is so stunning for me is how they brought the gold. They made the gold into spoons. And each golden spoon weighed 10 shekels of gold. And they made it full of costly incense. You will see that as you read through Numbers chapter 7. It's lovely to see the confirmation of everything in 12. As we saw in Revelation, everything is about 12 as well. So they brought 12 golden spoons in the book of Numbers. And there was 12 foundations in the book of Revelation. They brought 12 one-year-old lambs in the book of Numbers. And there's 12,000 from every tribe sealed in Revelation. There's 12 silver bowls in the book of Numbers and 12 pearly gates in the book of Revelation. So let us, as the congregation of Israel, stand with our leaders, each of us who are part of this perfect nation of the seed of Jacob, whose name was changed to Israel, following Moses through the wilderness, coming out of slavery. With our sacrifices, we bring our offerings with love and devotion to the tabernacle of our God. And as we read in chapter 7, everything is prepared, everything is brought to the tabernacle, and everything is put together in the tabernacle so that God can live amongst us and speak with us and have relationship with us. See Numbers 7 verse 89. And when Moses has gone into the tabernacle of the congregation to speak with Yahuwah, after all these sacrifices were brought and all the preparations was done, then he heard the voice of one speaking unto him from off the mercy seat that was upon the ark of the covenant, from between the two cherubims. And this voice spoke unto Moses. Because this is what we are busy with when we're bringing our silver and our gold and our incense and our sacrifices and our love, our devotion, our time, our offerings, our free will offerings to the tabernacle, where we prepare the place for Yahuwah to live with us. Because why do we do this? We want to hear his voice from the throne. Like Moses heard the voice from the mercy seat. Revelation 4 verse 1. After this I looked, and behold, a door was opened in heaven, and the first voice which I heard was as if it were a trumpet talking with me, and it said, Come up to me, and I will show you things which must be. Revelation 21 verse 3. And I heard a great voice out of heaven saying, Behold, the tabernacle of God is now with men, and he may dwell with them, and they shall be his people, and God himself shall be with them and be their God. Numbers 7, and all the other preparations for the tabernacle and all our obedience to the commandments regarding the service of this God is not for nothing. It is so that Revelation 21 verse 3 can happen. As we heard the voice from the mercy seat in Numbers 7, so we hear the voice from the throne of God in Revelation 21. And it's exactly the same thing. In Numbers 7, the tabernacle was amongst the people, and God was living with them. And this is God's wish, this is his plan, to live in a tabernacle again with us. This is what Yeshua says in the revelation of Yeshua the Mashiach, chapter 21 verse 3. God will tabernacle again. And if we don't understand the tabernacle of the book of Leviticus and Numbers and Exodus, how can we be part of the tabernacle that will come down in the book of Revelation. God says he wants to dwell with men inside the camp, and they must be his people and he will be their God. It's exactly the same words he said all over Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers, and Deuteronomy. We understand and we study the Torah to understand the house of God and to understand how God lives with his people and how we as his people needs to live with him. What we can and cannot do, what he wants us to do, how he wants us to live. This we do while studying these Old Testament books. Numbers 8, again read the whole chapter 8 for yourself, please. All the study into the tabernacle in the wilderness is really valuable because it's teaching us in preparation for the eternal tabernacle, the eternal temple, the eternal God of heaven and earth that is going to dwell again with his people like he did in the Old Testament. Revelation 21 verse 22 and 23. And I saw no temple in the New Jerusalem, for Yahuwah Almighty and the Lamb is the temple of the New Jerusalem. And the city had no need for the sun or the moon to shine, for the glory of God was the light that shines. And the Lamb of God, Yeshua, the Word that became flesh, is the light of the temple of the New Jerusalem. As he lived in the tabernacle in the Old Testament, so he's going to be the tabernacle that lives with us in the New Testament after the end of times, after Revelation in the New Testament. Because why? Everything that happens in the book of Numbers, everything in the tabernacle is a pattern of something in heaven. That which Moses made is only a temporarily earthly version of the eternal version that's in heaven. Even the light, even the menorah, Numbers 8 verse 1, and Yahweh spoke unto Moses and said, speak unto Aaron and say, when you light the lamps, the 7 lamps shall give light over against the candlestick. So in front of the candlestick, the light from the 7 lamps shines in the holy place. And Aaron did so. He lighted the lamps thereof, as Yahweh commanded. And the work of the candlestick was of beaten gold, and the staff and the flowers, according to the pattern which Yahweh had shown Moses. So was the menorah made. Because the pattern we see in the book of Revelation, the pattern has always been in heaven. The tabernacle, the menorah, the mercy seat, everything that we learn about in these Old Testament Torah books is something that's eternal in heaven. And when the temporary is going to be replaced with the eternal, then a lot of people will stand back and say, we never realized how important it was to study the books of Moses. We never understood how God lived amongst Israel. We never understood how the light from the candlestick, from the 7 lamps, was so important. Because everything that was made for the Old Testament tabernacle was made according to the pattern. What pattern? In Revelation 4 verse 5, it says, out of the throne proceeds lightning and thunder and voices. And there were 7 lamps of fire burning before the throne. Exactly as on the earthly tabernacle, so is it in the heavenly tabernacle. Numbers 8 verse 2, when you light the lamps, the 7 lamps shall give light in the holy place before the mercy seat, before the most holy place. Just like in Revelation 4, the 7 lamps of fire burn before the throne. And what does this 7 lights, what does this 7 lamps represent? Don't forget, there's 7 days in a week. The 7th day is the Holy Shabbat. There's 7 feasts of God. Pesach and first fruits and unleavened bread and Shavuot and Yom Teruah and Yom Kippur and tabernacles. Everything regarding 7 is an eternal doctrine. It's not an Old Testament teaching. What does the 7 represent? Revelation 4 verse 5 tells us, out of the throne, just like in the mercy seat, just like Moses heard the voice of one from the mercy seat, so in Revelation 4, from the throne came lightning and thundering and voices. And just like in Numbers 8, where the 7 lampstands was giving light, so in Revelation 4, there's 7 lamps that gives light before the throne. And those 7 lamps, Revelation 4 verse 5 says, are the 7 spirits of God. The 7 ruachim of God. Now I take you into the 7 spirits of God. Isaiah 11 verse 1 and 2. And there shall come forth a rod out of the stem of Jesse. Remember, Jesse is the father of David. And a branch, a Nazarite, a Netzarim, shall grow out of the roots of the stem of Jesse. So this is prophesying in Isaiah 11. It's prophesying about the Netzarim, the branch that grows from the genealogy of David, King David, the son of David. And verse 2 from Isaiah 11, the Spirit of Yahuwah will rest upon this one, this branch that grows out of David's lineage. The Spirit of Yahuwah will rest upon him. So that's number 1, the Spirit of Yahuwah. And then he identifies the Spirit of wisdom and understanding, the Spirit of counsel, the Spirit of might, the Spirit of knowledge, and the Spirit of the fear of Yahuwah. There you have the 7-folded Spirit. The 7-folded Spirit is on this Netzarim, Yeshua of Nazareth, out of this, who is the son of David, who has the 7 spirits upon him. The 7 spirits is the 7 lamps of fire that burns before the throne. And the 7 lamps of fire that burns before the throne is that which gives light in the tabernacle in the book of Numbers. Yeshua has always been with Israel. Yeshua has always been the light and the Ruach and the King and the Lamb and the one that brings us the spirit of counsel and might, so that we can have the spirit of wisdom and understanding, so that through wisdom and understanding, counsel and might grows inside of us. And together with that, the spirit of knowledge will teach us the spirit of the fear of Yahuwah. I take you to Revelation 5 verse 5 and 6. And one of the elders said unto me, Don't cry. Behold, the Lion of the tribe of Judah, from the root of David. Just like Isaiah said, from the root of David, the Lion from the tribe of Judah, he has prevailed to open the book and to loose the 7 seals thereof. And lo, I behold, in the middle of the throne, remember now the throne, Moses prepared the tabernacle, and then when everything was done, he heard a voice from the throne, from the mercy seat. And we know in Revelation there's the voice from the throne. And here again, the Bible says that him that is from the root of David, who has the 7 spirits on him, that is the Netzarim, the branch out of which we grow, he is in the middle of the throne. In the middle of the 4 beasts, in the middle of the elders, there stood a lamb, as if it had been slain, having 7 horns and 7 eyes, which are the 7 spirits of God sent forth into all the earth. This is the Lamb from the tribe of Judah, from the root of David. Cross-reference all these, Isaiah 11, Revelation 5, Numbers 8. Cross-reference and understand that the 7 lampstands in the tabernacle is representing the light of the Ruach of God, the 7 spirits of God that is upon the Son that is prophesied from the Torah as the Lamb from the tribe of Judah. We cannot get away from understanding this God and His kingdom and the salvation from His kingdom out of the book of Numbers. People criticize me and say, how can you explain being born again out of the book of Leviticus? Being born again is a New Testament teaching. Being saved by the blood of the Lamb is a New Testament teaching. I disagree. Without the book of Numbers and Leviticus, you can freaking forget it to understand the book of Revelation. You will read the book of Revelation and you will make your own new religion. And that's exactly what the priesthood, the false priesthood, has done. They have started a new religion. And this new religion, with this strange Antichrist that looks like the real Christ, but is nothing as what is prophesied by Moses. He does come with all kinds of spirits of his own, but not the Spirit of God, the Spirit of wisdom and understanding, counsel, might, knowledge and fear of Yahuwah. Because the fear of Yahuwah can only be understood as we enter the tabernacle with Moses, as we bring our golden spoons full of incense in sacrifice to the God who lives amongst us in the wilderness as we travel. This is the Lamb from the tribe of Judah. Genesis 49 verse 10 and 11. The scepter shall never depart from Judah. The lawgiver, the Torah giver, the one that gives the Torah, will never depart from the feet of Judah until Shiloh comes. And unto him, this lawgiver, this Torah giver, unto him shall the gathering of his people be. Only unto him he will gather the lost sheep of the house of Israel and join them again with the house of Judah. But he is the one, Jacob continues in Genesis 49 verse 11. He is the one, this lawgiver from Judah, that binds his foal into the vine, and the colt unto the choice vine. He washes his garments in wine, and his clothes he washes in the blood of the grapes. This is the one that gives the light in the holy place. This is the one that brings the Ruach of God down to earth. This is the one that gives the law so that we can live by it. And when we don't live by his law, this is the one whose garments will be washed in the blood of grapes, when he treads out the winepress in the wrath of Elohim upon those who have rebelled against his kingdom principles. The rest of chapter 8 is confirmation about the service of the priesthood, confirming that the Levites belong to Yahuwah. He has chosen them and set them apart, and their priesthood is a gift and an honor to serve around the throne of Yahuwah himself.